Coming to the 5-minute gun. Around the box. Prada very late, coming in from the pin end of the line, or the left-hand end. Team New Zealand around race control into the start sequence. Now, one of the things we can see already, innovation from the New Zealanders, they have no top mast backstays on, which is most unusual because they'll certainly need those when they come off the wind. So the New Zealanders are certainly up to something with their rig. We'll talk about that though after the race starts. Let's get the race underway and then we'll have some expert opinion. So the Prada crew are translated, Luke is telling us, the Prada crew say there are 3 years at work here, boys. Let's do it. Here comes the dial-up.
Nothing unusual so far. I kept thinking that we're going to see something from Team New Zealand. They've tried all kinds of things. We've heard about specialist sails. Certainly haven't got that, but they've got a good position here. Nicely to windward, safely to windward. Far enough off not to worry about being windward boat. Windward boat has to keep clear. They're well clear here. Good control, well deep in the box here.
The New Zealanders out to the right, windward boat.
The New Zealand are actually starting to move backwards here slightly. They're in a good position. Both boats absolutely stopped. Both boats just now moving backwards.
New Zealand to the right, the breeze now 14 knots. And we can see there the New Zealanders do not have any top mast backstay. We'll talk about that just after the start. Let's get the start underway. Italy to the left.
Prada fallen off here. That's very close. Team New Zealand a windward boat. They must keep clear. They're going to have to tack. Prada's slow, so they've gone off in opposite directions. Team New Zealand on port, Prada on starboard.
White flag, green flag, no incident. Team New Zealand to the right, Prada to the left.
Okay, here goes, stand by another dial-up here. Same situation, can Prada get across in front of them or not? 2 minutes, they're getting very close to committal time. Here they come again, Prada must keep clear, Prada on port. Question is, can Prada lay by shooting on starboard? Could they lay the pin? Or have Team New Zealand got them blocked outside the lay line?
It looks as though the right-hand side is favoured. Some problems in getting audio off the boats. We're not able to hear the conversations. Our engineers are working on that.
Wind has gone back left, Peter. We're 180 here. Now the question is, are Prada able to lay, can they make that buoy? Team New Zealand got good control here, 115. They're only about 25 or 30 from it, so time to kill here. I think Prada can lay the pin.
Down to the final 30 seconds of the first race of America's Cup 2000. Only the second time the America's Cup has been defended outside the US in 149 years. So it's Prada on starboard heading out towards the pin end. Meanwhile, Team New Zealand coming back on starboard as well in the middle of the line. Prada with very good speed, building up, coming out to the pin end. They're going to be right on the button. Prada, magnificent, right on the button at the pin end. Brilliant time on distance by the Italians. Super start by Prada. Meanwhile, Team New Zealand also on starboard in the middle. Right, here we are. Both boats alongside each other. Both boats on starboard. Both boats heading out to the left. This is the drag race. This is the trial of strength. Who's pointing higher? Who's footing faster? Those and other questions will be answered in the next 5-10 minutes.
Well, they did a lovely start right on the pin. You can see them bow out there, but Team New Zealand are safely off them. They're to windward, and this is it here, bow to bow. You can see it right now. Where's the initial gain line? Now, Prada can't tack, because if they do, they'll foul Team New Zealand to windward.
The key issue is, can Team New Zealand live there?
Look at that concentration on the wheel.
Does the bow of Team New Zealand look a little bit higher? Maybe. It is Prada to the left who have the advantage. They're in front just over Team New Zealand.
Now the question is, will they be able to squeeze up to them? I think Team New Zealand are in a good controlling position here. They could take Prada all the way to the left-hand lay line.
Well, they've got to be able to live there, Chris.
There's not much difference, is there, in speed? They're absolutely together.
So Team New Zealand out to the right, and Chris Law, first comment from you. Team New Zealand, no topmast backstage. What do you make of that?
Well, they must think they don't need them in this stuff. And as long as you've got the runners, that's all right. The topmast backstay really has little control of the top of the sail. They've obviously done their homework on that.
Based on less windage, less drag. They've got the check stays and runners on. They've got to get them on, though, when they come downhill. The key issue is, where are they?
Look at that. Absolutely locked together. What a beautiful day we've got here. We've got a shifting breeze in direction, also slightly changing in speed.
Well, if the breeze goes right, Team New Zealand will be favoured. That's the way it is forecast. So the Italians do have the early advantage.
Looks to me as though Prada, if anything, since the start has squeezed up a little bit. Team New Zealand might have come forward a little bit, but the gap between the two boats is closing.
Prada squeezing up underneath Team New Zealand there at the moment. Look at that, we can see that's Team New Zealand with the yellow trails. As we come up high, we can see that those trails have been coming a little closer together now. It looks like a half boat length advantage at the moment to Prada. The question is, how long can Team New Zealand live there? If Prada keeps squeezing up like this, Team New Zealand, in fact, there they go now. They've had to tack away to get clear air.
Well, that was an interesting start. Certainly, I think Prada gained the advantage there to get that lured position and to be able to first push Team New Zealand off, as they've now tacked, and Prada joining them over on port tack now. This is going to be the most crucial part of this race, this first drag race on port, where they really assess their speeds and the difference between the boats. And it'll be interesting here to see whether Team New Zealand can come back and still maintain starboard tack rights.
Down on board Prada, the boats now both on port tack. The first slight advantage we saw there was to Prada having the leeward advantage. They were able to squeeze Team New Zealand off, but this will be the true test. One thing that we've both noted here ashore is that the Team New Zealand sails, the mainsail and the jib, the shape of those sails look quite deep. Great shot there, looking across at Team New Zealand, down to leeward. Russell Cooch just looking over his shoulder. Behind him, Brad Butterworth looking up the course, looking for breeze and wind direction, heading towards the East Coast bays.
Team New Zealand back with a gain.
Well, the most interesting thing out of all this, though, is that the advantages that both boats have really probably come down more to wind shifts, where it's flicked 10 degrees either way, rather than necessarily any boat speed test.
Here we go
It is
again.
Team New Zealand coming in on starboard.
Prada can't cross this time. Prada go for safe leeward bow, I would think. Stand by Prada attacking. And Team New Zealand going to dip. Watch the wheel there. Watch Coots on the wheel. No, they're going safe leeward bow. So watch Team New Zealand to get out of there fairly quickly. Braking right now. Now you can see the power of the right towards the top of the course here. You can see why we talk all the time about the power of the right, because Prada cannot get across Team New Zealand's bow. They have to every time give way to Team New Zealand. Prada again will go safe fluid if they can't cross. No other options. Prada will not dip. They'll tack to leeward. Slight gain to Team New Zealand, I'd say. They'll keep their bow down. They'll go very fast at them. Took Prada a little late last time in tacking. Attack further. Now, Team New Zealand might live there. Team New Zealand might live there to the top mark. Pendulum swung back to Team New Zealand here, big time. They're off them. Don't know how close they are to this ley line. That's important. Team New Zealand starting to crank up here. Look, again, it's got off them.
So Team New Zealand now with the advantage. They are in the windward position.
And
it's not just a question, Chris, is it, of the bow in front of Prada, but they are out to the left, therefore in the windward position.
I thought Prada were late in that tack, and we talked, as Team New Zealand approached, I said going fast. What I mean by that is they put their bow down, they came away from the breeze, drove at Prada, made Prada tack slightly early, used that extra inertia to slingshot up to windward to be in the controlling position you see now.
Put them away. I want you to put them away now. Trip.
That's the voice of Simon Daltney.
Prada going again, look, they're early. Going back.
Dummy tack by Prada. The New Zealanders haven't boarded again.
They're actually losing by doing this. They should just go fast to the ley line, make Team New Zealand be the first one to attack and follow them round.
Yeah, almost.
That's what I think they'll do now. And then there's the mark.
Come down.
This is Mark 1, Race 1. America's Cup. You can see there the two dummy tacks, and the New Zealanders haven't boarded. Twice Torben Grail tried to suck the New Zealanders in, but Brad Butterworth had his antenna up and knew what the Italians were trying to do. And as Chris has said, the Italians have paid for it. Coming to mark number 1, race 1. America's Cup 2000, being sailed on the Hauraki Gulf out of Auckland, New Zealand. And it's the defenders, Team New Zealand, picking up where they left off on May 13, 1995 in front. Team New Zealand, Dean Phipps in the bow, with Joey Allen, Matt Mason on the mast.
Go, Ben. Sheeted Battler button.
Sheeted Battler, that is Simon Daltney talking to Robbie Naismith. Robbie Naismith's nickname is Battler. And the New Zealanders have set.
Yeah, you got it. Well done.
Prada are saying they're going to do a Zambuca, which means they'll jibe quickly once they're around. The Omega clock ticks off at 22 seconds. Team New Zealand lead Prada Challenge from Italy by 22 seconds after the first beat to windward.
You can see they're looking aloft, looking for the wind, wondering what effect the clouds are having on the conditions. The spinnaker looking very soft there as it's swimming through as each wave comes through. And this is really difficult times for the helmsman to keep the boat moving fast, because you come bow up a little bit to try and build some speed on the boat, but you're actually sailing a longer course. So the helmsman really has to keep his wits about him as he tries to keep the boat going fast. I'm sure that's what Francesco De Angelis is doing right now.
And there's Team New Zealand in the foreground, still with a comfortable lead over Prada. But if we look at the yellow trail there behind Team New Zealand, when we look at these big course changes as we come down, what that's all about is as the wind increases and it decreases, the helmsman, as the wind increases, he's able to steer a little bit deeper, closer to the mark. As it lightens up, he's got to sail up a wee bit, a bit closer to the wind to try and get a little more pressure in his spinnaker. But at the moment, they're doing a nice job on board the black boat. A little trend that's starting to develop here, though, is that Prada seems to be able to sail just a little bit deeper downwind here. And whether that's just a conscious decision by Russell to sail a different mode, we've yet to see. But for Prada, that is good news, that they seem to be able to sail just a little bit deeper, closer to the mark.
Here we go! Come on, boys, go! Wave's coming on now. Go, go, dig it! Come on, go! Come on, Craig. Hold, beautiful, hold.
Well, we're right behind Prada. I don't think they're going to lay that mark. What I mean by that is, in the course they're sailing, they're not going to be able to go around the mark, so they'll have to double jive.
This is Barry Mackay right here. He's one of the new boys on board, which is a bit of a misnomer. He was on board NZL 20. He has a Whitbread winner's medal. Big, hulking man, Mackay. So it is New Zealand out to the right of the ley line. Prada still inside the ley line, as Chris was suggesting.
And what that means is that Prada will have to double jive and will lose more. Team New Zealand outside the ley line will come in really fast. It's Joey going down the hatch there.
That's Joey Allen.
It's already loaded. I would say they'd go for the same one as they used last time.
Dean Phipps, Joey Allen, Matthew Mason, Barry Mackay, Robbie Naismith, Simon Daubney. It's Dean Phipps on the bow, Joey Allen just behind him. Mark 2, race 1, America's Cup 30. That's the voice of Simon Daubney. Remember, Team New Zealand led by 22 seconds at Mark 1. A very different angle for the Italians. They're coming in a lot slower. And the Amiga clock ticks over at 22 and is still ticking. It is a gain to Team New Zealand as the Italians round Mark 2 and Luna Rossa rounds out 36 seconds. So it goes from 22 to 36 seconds. And the call coming off the Italian boaters, we want to tack immediately. Hurry, 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 we need to tack, is the call coming off the Italian boat.
Yeah, they paid the penalty of coming in too slow there to the bottom mark. And now they've tacked without being on full hull speed. So Team New Zealand in a great controlling position, as you can see there. We have the breeze slightly in the left. The actuals are 10.9, 179, 180. Wind line 180. No change of course.
Often in this condition, as we head towards the North Shore, towards those cliffs, you will get the breeze just rotating to the right. And I know the forecast was a right-hand shift, giving Team New Zealand advantage. And just in fact, we were looking there as though Team New Zealand, in fact, were taking a bit of a header. Team New Zealand coming back on starboard, back towards Prada, but protecting the right-hand side.
Interesting to note here, Peter, the Team New Zealand looks a long boat, and a lot of has been made of this, that they are in fact a very long boat on its overall length, what we call LOA. And does that translate into a long sailing waterline? And you can see them sailing along there nicely. They seem to be using all of the yacht, which is a very encouraging sign for Team New Zealand, because this is very moderate to light conditions today, and it'll only get better for them as the breeze gets heavier. You're starting to see here some of the stories on board Prada here.
Just says hello to all the mothers and fathers of the crew and all our friends. A nice little message there to the Italian viewers who are watching this.
Now what's going on there with the pitman is he's in fact just tidying that spinnaker up, putting the walls on board on the spinnaker or on the Jenica that was used on the downwind leg. It's quite an elaborate system of tubes and ropes that enables that man to tidy that sail up and pack it correctly for the next downwind leg.
This is Mark 5, race 1, America's Cup 30. Team New Zealand still leading. Remember, they had an advantage of 1 minute and 3 seconds last time round this mark. Then at the last mark, that is mark number 4, they were leading by 25 seconds. Here comes the set. Beautiful set by Team New Zealand.
They're clear of them there, going to windward. It's a big gain uphill. What was it at the bottom? 25?
It was 25 seconds.
It's going to be way over a minute. They've more than doubled. They've gone, I would say...
Well, yes, I know there's been right-hand shifts, Chris.
Seems
the
to
oscillating breeze, but in the end, I think we can... An interesting translation coming off Prada is that they feel they have chosen the wrong mainsail today, which is a real admission. After all, that is the power, that is the motor. So maybe it's early yet in this first race, but based on what we've seen, Team New Zealand seem to have a speed edge on the speed to windward. Whether or not it's because of the wrong mainsail chosen by Luna Rossa. Here the Italians coming round mark number 5. They trailed by 25 seconds at the last mark. The Amiga clock ticks off at 1 minute and 16 seconds. That is their biggest advantage to NZL 60 in the race so far.
Yeah, sleigh ride downhill, I would suggest from here. Can't see enough in the breeze to make that difference. I wonder what he's doing there. He waved and then put his hand up and stuck something on the top of the rig. Oh, he's got an earpiece in.
Yes. That is who Brad Butterworth could talk to Murray Jones, or the other way.
That's not those black tights again, is it?
Look good, don't they?
They do, boy, yeah. Red socks and black tights, that's the way to go.
Out to the right is Simon Daubney, who was the first New Zealander. Hello. All right, okay, and you could see they could, because all of a sudden it was danger, danger, warning, warning, and the New Zealanders looking relaxed, and all of a sudden they jumped into gear, and Torben Grail has said, let's see if Team New Zealand follow us here. And the answer is yes, Team New Zealand have stayed. There's Brad Butterworth, tactician there. He's calling the shots.
See the urgency in the way they move. That's why they jump. I like their downhill jives. Jenica jiving is not easy, and Team New Zealand do smart jives.
So that's a big advantage now to Prada. Francisco De Angelis and his team. They think they've chosen the wrong mainsail. They know there has been some boat handling errors as well. But let's not write these fellows off. Just because Team New Zealand's going to win this first race, Prada may be beaten in race 1, but they won't be down and out. We know how good they are. We know how much bottle they have, how hard they fought to win the Louis Vuitton Challenge and the right to win this. But a little more relaxed aboard Team New Zealand with Dean Phipps, Joey Allen on the bow, Matthew Mason back at mast, Barry Mackay's the pit, Craig Monk, Andrew Taylor, Robbie Naismith, Simon Daubney, Murray Jones, Warwick Fleury, Jeremy Scanlabry, Tony Ray, Richard Dodson, Tom Snackenberg and Brad Butterworth make up the outstanding crew for skipper Russell Coots. And Team New Zealand, NZL 60, come down to the line to win race 1, America's Cup 2000. In the defence of the America's Cup out of Auckland, New Zealand. So Team New Zealand have been able to achieve something that the Kookaburra team could not do out of Fremantle. This is the first win by a team defending outside the United States in 149 years. But look at the body language. No high fives, no cartwheels, no somersaults. This is just matter of fact, we've won, but there's still 4 to go. This is going to be a big win. Remember, the Italians closed down the game last time. They went from 103 to 25. They trailed by 116. So Luna Rossa comes down to the line. These pictures being carried live around the world, across Europe, and by Right Television across Italy. The Italians, the translation coming off is the Italians are very unhappy the spectator boats are so close.